What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Xbox Developer Direct. I am all caught up, and I am really pleased. Look, I've said leading into this thing, I think this has the potential to be the best show that they've ever done, and in terms of the Direct, right? Normally, the June Xbox shows are also extremely good, but this one freaking knocked it out of the park. I don't know about you. You can let me know in the comments, but they nailed it. I mean, like, every game has something kind of to it. South of Midnight is probably maybe towards the bottom of the list or at the bottom, but even for that game to be last in my mind, the game still looks awesome. It looks like a really just different kind of game that I'm getting day one through, of course, their signature thing through Game Pass, right? And I mean, look, the quality and the value that you're going to get from Game Pass through just this developer direct alone is, I think, actually worth the price of Game Pass for like a year. Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Expedition 33, Ninja Gaiden 4, ladies and gentlemen, being on Game Pass, right? Fall of 2025. And then also Ninja Gaiden 2 Black being a stealth release, $50 normally or also on Game Pass. I mean, right there, that money is, I think, worth the subscription for the entire year. Yes, that's if you get everything. I know people won't get everything, and that's totally cool. But they did really good. I mean, this was kind of a show for me, right? Because Doom: The Dark Ages looks like a Game of the Year contender. Let's be real for a second, all right? I like with Doom that they primarily just showed the game. The other ones, they kind of went back and forth and not discounting the other games, but there was a lot of talking mixed in with the actual gameplay. Ninja Gaiden kind of just had the trailer, right? And that was relatively it. They showed some other snippets, but for Doom, it's like, all right, this thing's big. This thing is going to blow your socks off. Let's just freaking show it to you, and we'll leave the talking kind of as the second thing we're gonna do. And they crushed it. I mean, starting with Doom, I know that was the last thing that they showed, but that was the show stopper. There was a fantastic end to the show, and I mean, well, they started it really good, right, with Ninja Gaiden and then ending with Doom. It really does look like a Game of the Year. I love the style change. There's a part of me that's a little hesitant because I actually just played Doom 2016. I'm getting ready to play Doom Eternal. So when they talk about, the speed kind of change that's going to happen with the Dark Ages and, a different style there, right? You're supposed to block, you're supposed to parry. It's more about it's actually almost entirely about being on the ground versus the other games that had a little bit more movement. Eternal, a lot more like grappling and jumping and stuff like that. But you know what? They're changing the game every single time they make one of these things, and I couldn't be more excited. I think it's my favorite of the show, but that's tough because Expedition 33 looks freaking unreal, and then Ninja Gaiden 4, it blew my freaking mind. All right, so Doom probably was my highest, but they're all very close. So cannot wait to play it. Of course, we got the release date, right, of May 15th, obviously coming on Game Pass and coming out, across the board. April 8th for South of Midnight. Again, not too much. I mean, I've always liked the art style that they're doing, kind of the inspiration of the stop motion. They talked about a lot of the myths and like the folklore and stuff, and being able to kind of express that on screen. It looks really cool. It was snippets, okay? It wasn't like the full-on thing, so you don't know for sure, but some of those boss fights, they talked about kind of like high scale, like big epic boss fights. They look pretty cool. The gameplay looks solid, the story looks solid. Again, like the visuals, I'm actually a pretty big fan of. Again, a little bit more of like an under the radar type thing maybe to the masses, but one that, April 8th comes around, there's no other game I think coming around near it, so it gets it all to itself. But it's a game that I'm getting like the second it's available. So, and that's the case for all of these games, by the way. Again, it's a reason why I think Xbox just freaking crushed it. Expedition 33, more of the same, and I say that in all of the best ways, right? I don't think Expedition 33 showed me anything that I didn't already. I mean, they showed like menu stuff, right? Like upgrades and, the different kind of perks that you can attach to your characters and stuff, and it all looked amazing. In fact, the one main thing I took away from it is we got to see more menus, because you already look at like the UI for when you're battling in Expedition 33, 10 out of 10, right? Straight from Persona's handbook. But then you also look at the menus and it's like, oh my god, there's flair everywhere there. I've always liked the idea of the story, the idea that everybody's dying younger, and this is the time that, anybody 33, well, every year, right, 34-year-olds would die, 33-year-olds would die, etc., until they stop that arc. So that's the point of the game. Love the idea. Again, love the visuals, love the combat. That one played it the most safe, in my opinion, just because, I mean, I've been paying attention to it, since it was announced back in the June show, right? So they didn't show me anything that like, oh my god, I couldn't believe they did it. But like, I know that this is a game straight up my alley, and it didn't deviate whatsoever. And then Ninja Gaiden. Now, look, I'm not a huge Ninja Gaiden fan. I have played games in the past. It was a big part of my renting days back in probably like 2009, 10, 11. I probably rented several of them. I remember them being very, very difficult. I remember hearing about how difficult, Ninja Gaiden games are. But you know what? I'm a changed man. I'm older. I'm much older than I was back then. So I cannot wait. I mean, Ninja Gaiden, seriously, all right? All jokes aside, to start the show with that was unreal. Now, we kind of already knew, like, there was a rumor that they were going to show Ninja Gaiden, but, saying it out loud versus showing it are two completely different things, right? What they showed looked so good. And I think this is the team. I saw this online, so it could be wrong. It is the internet. But did this team make Metal Gear Revengeance? Because if that's true, holy Jesus, that game rocks, okay? That game just has some sort of style and some sort of energy to it that not a lot of other games can actually capture. So if that actually is the same team that made Revengeance that's now doing this, we are in for a treat, everybody. But the game looks so good. I love, I just talked about this actually with like Phantom Blade Zero, just like the clashing of swords and kind of like, a little martial artsy. I mean, this is not Sifu we're talking about here, but I just love that kind of style and love that kind of gameplay. You don't get too many, especially like these big AAA games. Not so many of them are like it. So to get that, I think, is outrageously cool. And to come out this fall, so just stack it on to, we know this year is going to be very big for gaming. Just stack that on top of it. Now remember, I think except for South of Midnight, all of these games are coming out on PlayStation. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is out on PlayStation right now for $50, or you can buy on Xbox for $50, but also on Game Pass. They all come out except for, I think, which is honestly, let me just say this, kind of an odd thing. I'm kind of past the point. We don't have to talk about, the exclusive versus not exclusive, but just to kind of like point out the one obvious thing, it is a little strange to me that like all of the big high like profile games are all coming out on both, like Doom, and it should be helped. All these games should be helped by coming out on all of the consoles, right? But South of Midnight is not on PlayStation, so I wonder like how that one is just gonna do overall. But I mean, my God, I would give it an A. I would honestly give this thing like a 9+ out of 10. Whatever you want to say, 9.5, 9.75. The Hi-Fi Rush one is my favorite, just because that game was like my second favorite game of the year. It's one of the best games I think I've played in the last 5 or so years, and that was just Shadow Drop just for fun, kind of like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, but it was Hi-Fi Rush. So that one will always hold a special place in my heart, but this one is probably the best. That was like a standout thing that happened, but this one got the Shadow Drop. It was smaller scale, to at least in my mind, of how good I think these games are, but then just the quality. I mean, my dear God, how much more can they do for a 45-minute show showing off 4 or 5 games, right? Like, what more could you want? I think they nailed it, crushed it. PlayStation, you're up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.